Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the channel. It is Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, and I want to thank Greg over at Rocky Mountain Resale for today's story. Rocky Mountain, of course, referring to where he's from, Colorado, and this story comes to us from Pueblo, Colorado, and it is about, just like the title says, you might have saw it, a pawn shop, a chain of pawn shops, actually 4 locations, that were taking in stolen merchandise and reselling them. They were buying the stolen merchandise from retail theft rings. Generally, these are people that have addictions, drug and alcohol addictions. They go into retail stores like Target and Walmart and Best Buy and Home Depots, and they steal stuff, and then they take it somewhere to sell it to get some quick cash for pennies on the dollar. They might steal a $300 power drill and take it somewhere and try to just get $20 or $30 so they can get some drugs or get some alcohol or whatever it is that they have a problem with. Generally, that's how it works. There are some exceptions. There are some people that have turned it into a business of theft, which is crazy. But that's the general consensus of how it works. And it turns out in Pueblo, Colorado, and this is not unique because I've seen it here in Tampa, I've seen it in Orlando and Lakeland, I've seen it all over Florida, I've seen it in California, New York. There are retail theft rings that literally groups of people that do this and steal tons and tons and tons and tons of merchandise. And then they find what is called a fence. A fence is somebody who will buy stolen merchandise, or any merchandise really, no questions asked, at pennies on the dollar, with the express knowledge that you're up to no good. And so these pawn shops were actually doing this, and then they were reselling the merchandise, millions of dollars worth of merchandise, out back in the pawn shop and locally and on eBay and all over certain places. And let me preface this video, especially if eBay's watching. I know a lot of us get real mad about Amazon confirming where we buy our merchandise and gating people, and eBay and the new Shop Safe Act, and wanting to know, who people are, their legitimate information, where they get their stuff from. And it's a real big pain in the butt on all of us, especially those of us that do things the right way. But this is the reason why they have to do this sort of thing, because there are bad apples in every bunch. And I applaud Amazon and eBay and the platforms for trying to stop this sort of behavior, because these people have no business in our market and no business in our community and no business on the platforms. And so, of course, eBay will cooperate 100% with law enforcement or with anybody that they suspect is up to no good. And thankfully, this store no longer has any items. In fact, they had an eBay store. I'll show it to you in just a second. And bam, gone, right? Like, their history, they're in jail. They're not going to be selling anything for quite some time. They're facing a litany of charges, a cornucopia of charges, mind you. What I want to do is go over and check out that story. Again, thank you to Greg at Rocky Mountain Resale for bringing this story to my attention. But there's always bad apples, so make sure if you are buying things from people that you're not familiar with, get their driver's license, get a bill of sale, ask questions, find out where they got it from. And the number one red flag is if somebody looks like most of these people look like, I'm not stereotyping, but you can generally tell when somebody has a drug problem or a theft problem and alcohol and substance abuse. Generally, they don't look like somebody that would be able to afford $300 Keurigs every single day. And then red flag number 2 is, how the heck does somebody have multiple Keurigs and power drills and all this stuff day after day after day? If somebody sells you one and tells you, oh, that was my cousin, he gave it to me for my birthday and I didn't need it, fantastic. But then every single day, that's how you know. Like, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. It's too good to be true, too good to be true. They're accepting $30 for a $300 Keurig. There's just way too many red flags for all this. And that's how they know that, these pawn shops in this story were doing what they were doing. It is what it is. Let's go over and take a look. Okay, so here's one story out of the Pueblo Chieftain by Justin Reuter. The top dollar pawn shop owner was arrested on 29 federal theft money laundering indictments. So there's a picture of the one of the locations. Apparently they had 4 locations from what I understand. But the owner is Jack and Misha Jargowski, and 2 others have been federally charged with theft, racketeering, and 27 counts of money laundering, court records show. That is RICO, essentially. That's federal. According to the indictment finding by the El Paso County Grand Jury, the Jaworskis, along with Daria and Walt Mario, are accused of knowingly buying and selling products that have been stolen from retail stores by boosters. The booster, of course, the person who steals the merchandise, and usually from retail outlets, often working as part of a crew. The scheme dates back to at least 2018, so 4 years ago they started this. The defendants are accused of buying 27 stolen items from boosters and selling them either online or in their stores. The items include a variety of tools, 2 chainsaws, a shotgun, wow, Google Nest electronic items, an Apple Watch, and a wireless internet router. 27 items in 4 years. I don't think so. A place with 4 locations, you're telling me each location only bought what, like 7 items, and over 4 years they only bought 1.5, 2 items a year? No, these people bought and sold hundreds and hundreds of items, if I had to guess, if I was going to take a stab at it, but that's all they've been indicted for. Interviews with boosters and former employees detail that the defendants knew the items they were buying were stolen. They used the laundered funds to continue to operate their business, buying more stolen property. The indictment also states that numerous controlled sales operations show that the defendants acknowledged and ignored any opportunity to obtain information about the new items they were buying from well-known boosters. So see, this is where you get yourself in trouble. These people that are boosting, i.e. stealing from all these stores, they're going to get caught at some point. And when they get caught, the first thing that the police are always going to ask them is, what do you do with the merchandise? And they're going to say, look, you're facing 10 years in jail. We'll cut your time in half. Just tell us where you sell everything, and boom, you are history. Not to mention they had employees that ratted them out. Double whammo. So here's another story from KRDO. Here's the 4 locations. Top Dollar in Colorado Springs off Academy. Top Dollar in Pueblo off Highway 50. The Top Dollar Pawn in Colorado Springs off North Academy. So they had one on North and one on South Academy, and another one off 4th Street in Pueblo, with them being seized, crime scene tape around it. And there are the owners, which is Miska Jaworski and then her husband, I guess, Jack. So husband and wife own those and in jail now. I mean, just crazy that they think it was only 27 items over 4 years. I assure you it was hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of items they bought and sold. They had 4 locations, obviously doing very, very well, making a lot of money to support that and the staff. And it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Typically, they'll take a plea deal. They'll have to pay a lot of restitution and fines to stores that can prove it was their merchandise. They'll do some time in jail. They'll be on probation. They'll never own a pawn shop. They'll lose everything. And that, folks, is why we don't steal and why we don't run racketeering schemes across multiple stores where we're got tons of people watching us. Wow. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Anyways, good on eBay and Amazon for taking, helping to prosecute anybody that they figure this out over. And don't do the crime if you can't do the time, guys. And just don't do the crime. It doesn't help any of us, and you end up like these 2 ding-dongs. All right, with that said, I'll leave you to the rest of your day. Appreciate you watching. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. As always, I love to have you guys comment down below. What do you think about this fancy couple and their fancy operation of reselling and buying and selling stolen merchandise? I'll read the comments and respond to a bunch of them later. And until then, have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll see everyone later.